Hello people, how are you doing? Welcome, my name is Adam. This is Memento Mori, okay? Happy holidays. We're here today, this is an original tag, okay? Hold my hand. We're calling this the book Postscript 2018, okay? Reflecting on a year of reading. I think there's a lot of different versions of kind of year-end tags that go around here in the bookish community. But I was inspired by this by another tag, which I didn't create, called the mid-year tag. Which I think I've done like 3 years in a row. I'll link this past year's down below. But the mid-year tag is great because it's a series of prompts kind of touching base on your reading year, up to the halfway point. And I always like that, especially since on my channel I've stopped doing kind of book hauls and like wrap-ups and whatnot. It's a great way for me to kind of touch base. So I wanted to create something similar for the end of the year, looking at the year in its entirety. And you'll notice in my version that I avoid questions like the best book you read or the worst book you read or how many books you read, simply because I think a lot of people kind of independently do those rundowns on their own, which I always like watching. So I purposely tried to leave those sort of questions out. So hopefully the prompts I've put forward instigate some interesting answers, okay? 10 questions here. We're gonna run them down real quick, so hit it up. Question 1, which I guess is kind of 2 questions in one, but it's the longest book you read this year and the book that took you the longest to finish. So the longest book, page-wise, that I read this year, look at this guy. City on Fire, Garth Risk Hallberg, which I think like 910 pages, my edition. Huge, chunky book. I liked it. I don't think it necessarily earned that page length, but I was happy to read it. So that was the longest book I read. And then the book that took me the longest to finish was All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr, which I talked about in a previous video when I was in the middle of it, kind of talking about how the book is kind of sickeningly sweet. Just this giant pink cupcake of a World War II novel. Not my flavor. And also in that video I talked about how each chapter was very short, 2 or 3 pages, bouncing back and forth between the perspective of these 2 young people. And considering I wasn't loving the book and the chapters were so short, it really didn't instigate binge reading. So I think this book took me like almost 5 months to complete, because I would just read like 1 or 2 chapters a day. Yeah, wasn't for me. Question 2 is a book you read in 2018 that was outside of your comfort zone. Now, of course, comfort zone can be interpreted in many ways. It could be a genre, or maybe an author that you were intimidated by. Maybe it was a nonfiction work featuring a subject that you were unfamiliar with. You know, comfort zone can be a lot of different things. For me, though, it's not a book, but a play, okay? Which actually won the Pulitzer this year. The play is Cost of Living by Martia Majic, I want to say. My Polish is out of whack. Kamel, help. She's a Polish-American. And yeah, this is outside of my comfort zone simply because I don't read a lot of plays, especially modern plays. And even more so, especially plays, I went into this knowing that it was going to be heavy-handed with cramming a lot of issues into a relatively short 4-person play. We're dealing with race issues and class and sex and disability, okay? Disability not only within the play, but outside the play. And by that I mean Majic has been very clear, and even, in the notes to the play, states that she only wants disabled people cast in the disabled roles of her play. 2 out of the 4 characters are wheelchair bound. And yeah, it got me thinking, because I honestly, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how I feel about a playwright stating who and who can't be cast in a role. Yeah, and I honestly don't know. And it made me think, which is a good thing. And I gotta say, the play itself, I thought it was elegantly done. I thought it dealt with all these kind of many issues in a very kind of fresh way. So I actually liked it, and it was a nice exercise of being pushed outside of my comfort zone. So yeah, cost of living. Question number 3 is, how many books did you reread in 2018? I reread 14 books, which is quite a lot for me, actually. I read, I revisited a handful of kind of books from my young adulthood, including A Clockwork Orange and The Bell Jar, read Lord of the Flies for the Book to Film Club. I also reread 4 Muriel Spark novels, kind of in celebration of her centennial this year, which was great. I reread a lot this year. Question 4 is your favorite reread of the year. And that's going to be kind of a cheat here because I'm actually just finishing it up. But it's Dune Messiah by Frank Herbert. Okay, you guys? The second book in the Dune saga. Okay, and man, I love this book. And, you know, this book has a reputation for being one of the weaker in the series. A lot of the Dune heads don't like it. But I love it, man. And to me, it's so perfect because Dune Messiah, again, the second book in the series, addresses the biggest problem I had with the original Dune, which is, what do you do with a character like Paul Atreides, who's the main character of the book, who pretty much from page 1 of book 1, we know is this, all-powerful, Jesus-like Messiah figure who destiny has sent to save this planet, this planet Arrakis, the planet Dune. We know that from the get-go. So how do you move forward with this Christ-like figure? And I think Dune Messiah does just such a wonderful job of answering that. I could nerd out big time with the Dune. You guys know, once a year I get into this. But yeah, definitely my favorite reread of the year, Dune Messiah. And then question 5, we have a book that you read for the first time in 2018 that you look forward to rereading in the future, okay? And for this, I actually picked a book that I didn't really love, which is The Great Fire by Shirley Hazard. And man, I'd been meaning to read Hazard for a long time. She just passed away a couple years ago. The Great Fire, big sweeping historical fiction, kind of giving this grand snapshot of the world following World War II. And while, man, her writing and her prose are just so stunningly beautiful, I did find by the end parts of the book to be a bit tedious. I found parts of the book to be a little pretentious. But it's a book I finished, and I'm sure you've all had the experience where I just feel like there's unfinished business I have with the book. I think there's more in it that I can get. And again, the writing was so beautiful, and especially I could picture returning to this after reading a couple more of her works. The Great Fire, even though I didn't love it, is a book I'll keep on my shelves and definitely actually really look forward to returning to in the future. So yeah. Prompt number 6 is the best single short story or novella that you read in 2018. And I love the idea of focusing in on a single short story rather than an entire collection. And of course, if you haven't read any short stories, you can answer with a short novel or a novella. But for me, easily, it's, look at this little thing. It's The Machine Stops by E.M. Forster. What a story, man. And I went into The Machine Stops knowing that it was an early work of sci-fi, but I wasn't expecting it to be so sci-fi, if you know what I mean. I was expecting something much more kind of English and dated, but man, no, it's this full-on dystopian, the machines rule the world, people are forced to live underground, people are worshiping the machine. It's full on like Matrix, okay? And a total precursor to the cyber age written over 100 years ago. It's just incredible. And I went into the book knowing that Forster was kind of ahead of his time in regards to kind of, social views and class views and whatnot through his novels. But I think I kind of underestimated the length of his scope in regards to how far ahead of the time he really was. So The Machine Stops, incredible short story. All right, prompt 7 is Mass Appeal, a book you read this year that you liked and would recommend to a wide variety of people. Again, mass appeal. There's no such thing as a perfect book, and there's no such thing as a book for every reader. But I think it's safe to say that there's books that are crowd pleasers, okay, that appeal to a wider range of people. So yeah, the idea is to pick the book you read this year that would attract the widest scope of readers. And for me, easy answer, one that I've mentioned considerably on this channel over the past year, the winner of the Pulitzer Prize, Less, by Andrew Sean Greer. Just this sad, funny human story, and one that is, yeah, I think just almost any reader can get along with. I know I've recommended it to 3 different people in my offline life, all of which loved it. So definitely, in terms of mass appeal, Less is the big one. And then question 8, which I really like, which is specialized appeal. Okay, kind of the opposite side of the coin, which is a book that you read this year that you still really liked, but that you think would attract a smaller pool of readers. That a book that you wouldn't just recommend to anybody. You know what I mean? So for me, probably any year that I read my beloved D. Coop, my Dennis Cooper. Okay, I read Frisk earlier this year, and I loved it, but certainly not a book that I would just hand to anyone. We're assaulting people in here. We're blowing out assholes. We're making snuff films. We're killing people. We're making love to the people that we kill. It's not something that you can hand to just anybody. But I still stand behind the fact that I think Dennis Cooper has so much literary merit, and he is a very important author. So Frisk was a book I really liked, but again, wouldn't just hand to anybody. And then number 9 is to reflect on your year as a content creator within the bookish community. Okay, and that can be milestones met, good or bad memories. You could list a few of your favorite videos. However you want to reflect. And I've had a great year here. And to me, it's felt like a very transitional year for Memento Mori, okay? Because as I stated earlier in the video, I stopped doing kind of book hauls and wrap-ups and stuff like that, simply because I just got bored making them. And I've been trying to branch out in the content that I create. And I still feel like I'm trying to find, what this channel is about. But finding that is part of the fun of it all. So I've had a really good year on here. Of course, my biggest problem is my lack of consistency with uploading. I think I was looking, I've uploaded an average of 1 video every 2 weeks, which is very low. And I'd like to do more. And I want to thank everybody, man, because for me to consistently have the audience I have and the comments that I get and the interaction that I achieve, even though I'm very inconsistent with my uploading, I don't take that for granted. So I really appreciate those who have stuck around and continue to watch and support my channel and talk to me. It's still so much fun. And I do want to make it a goal to be more consistent in the new year. So I've had a lot of fun and continue to love being a part of this community. As for favorite videos I did this year, I did 4 videos called Memento Memos, which I'll link down below, which I really enjoyed doing. A really great chance for me to kind of play with structure and style. I did a video on Philip Roth after his passing, which I thought was pretty good. And then finally, of course, I have to mention, I did a video with my good friend Ursula, who is so ridiculous. You guys think I'm ridiculous. She is so ridiculous. And people, they don't understand the video, whether it's a joke or not. And I'll let you decide. But Ursula is no joke. okay? That is really Ursula, and I always have fun sitting down with her. So those are a few of the videos that I did this year that I really liked. But yeah, it's been a great year. And again, thank you to everybody. And then finally, prompt number 10 is to tag some of your favorite content creators here within the bookish community. That's it, people. That's the book Postscript 2018. Again, happy holidays, happy new year. I'll talk to you soon.